Well, I'll go ahead and get started, and if anybody else shows up, then we'll go from there. So basically, what I wanted to do was start with doing some of the dance fundamentals since we haven't danced in almost a year. So some of the fundamentals are you're laughing, Marty.
I've got a pretty good space in my room, but
Yeah, well, I've got a hallway. So,
part of my signing on tonight was curiosity.
yep, yeah. And Deb Harvey still has stuff that's from moving.
Yep.
So well, hey, yeah, curiosity, I'm fine with that. That's good.
Yep.
But some of the basics with the fundamentals are to basically, you'll start with learning the rhythm of the dance or the song so you can figure out what kind of style it is. So there are, in traditional German folk dancing, you still, even though polka is not a German dance, you still hear a lot of songs that have a polka beat to them, or a lot of songs that you'll hear and dances will be a waltz tune. So if I've got this up loud enough, can you hear this?
A little bit.
So that is a waltz tune. So it's a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or if you're like me, it's easier for me to count in sixes to know when I'm starting over with the movement. To do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on that one. We also have a lot of polka type. Well, most of the polkas are also the similar count, but faster with the emphasis on a different beat. Let me see if I can get this one up louder. Okay. So that is still a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but with a different tempo and a different emphasis on more on your 1, 2, 3. Instead of the waltz is a smoother count of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So polka has a different accent on a different beat into that song. Some other things of the fundamental part of dancing is to remember to move your arms. So you're not just standing there necessarily with your arms just right down by your sides or glued to your side. Yes, you want to do more up and airy, or you also want to make sure you have tension in your arms. So if you are dancing with a partner, try and do this so that I can see, okay, my screen's backwards. I'm trying to even out my arms. You want to make sure you've got also have good tension in your arms. You don't want to be just moving your arms back and forth. So one thing that I think of is I do from Sound of Music, when they're dancing,
Christopher Plummer died this week.
On Friday.
I know, very sad.
Yes, very, very sad. I think he was 91.
Yep.
So, and that's why I thought in my mind, I always think of the Sound of Music when the kids are all standing there dancing or singing, excuse me, and they've got their hands like this. Well, this is a good way to learn your tension. So with your tension, you don't want to pull really, really hard on your hands or your partner's hands. But when they're singing, they're standing there, move this down a little bit. They're standing there like this, and then you can move your arms and your whole body with the tension. But again, you don't want to claw in on yourself or on your partner. It's still a gentle hold, because if you're holding on for dear life, then you need to talk to your partner and have them maybe slow down or do something a little less robust. But this is a good way to learn your tension and not be linked in really tight. So you're holding on. And again, you don't want to be pulling, like it's not an arm wrestling match. The other thing, and Marty, I'm glad you're on here, because that's something that with your height and some of the other dancers not being quite as tall as you, when you're dancing with them, you have to also be aware with your arms, the height differences between you and your dance partner. So you're typically, when you're dancing, your hands are up at your shoulder length, shoulder height. If you're dancing with somebody that's shorter than you, you have to keep in mind that they're not necessarily going to be dancing with their arms up like this. You have to bring your hands down some too, so they aren't quite up as high. Because if you're dancing a partner dance as a waltz, the follow's arms are usually laying gently on top of the lead's arms. So you don't want to be way, way up here. The arms are also the reason why you want to have good tension in your arms when you're dancing, is that's also how your lead is going to direct you. So for a lead, if you're doing a waltz, they will have their right hand on your left shoulder, their left hand will be extended out, and they will be using their right hand that's on your left shoulder to maneuver you on your shoulder blade. And then also with their extended hand, which is facing the line of direction, they will be able to move you in whatever direction they want to go. And vice versa then, for the follow, your hand will be gently laying on top of your lead's arm on their shoulder or shoulder blade. Your right hand will be gently in their left hand. And that way, again, you've got your tension in your arms and they will be able to direct you. You don't want to just have your arms going back and forth. You need to be able to have it do that and move your whole body in whatever direction they're trying to move you in. Yes, yep, you got it, Deb. Another thing to be aware of is your posture. So I'm really bad about this. When I get tired, I start to hunch forward, but you want to be standing up straight and think of a string coming out of the top of your head. So you're looking straight. You don't want your chin down, looking at your feet or your partner's feet. You'll need to be able to look straight ahead or potentially look up into or down into your partner's eyes or face. In my case, I can't necessarily look in their eyes because I have one contact is for distance and one is for up close. So
I never knew that.
Yeah, everything in that range, you are all blurry. So, okay. I have to look a little bit past my partner because that range is blurry. So as you're dancing, you will be standing up straight. Try not to hunch forward, try not to lean back. You also need to make sure that your feet are hip distance apart. So I'm moving back. I hit my door. So you have your feet hip distance apart. You don't want to be out too wide because then you have too much of a stance to get around. You don't want to be really close because then you don't have a good center of balance. So make sure your feet are hip distance apart. What I also do is I'm typically on the balls of my feet. I'm not usually flat-footed. That way, it's easier for me to be, if I'm moving backwards, if I'm on my heel, it's like, I feel like I have to do an extra step to go back. Where if you're up on the balls of your feet, you're more engaged, you're paying attention to where your feet are. It's easier to move forward or back rather than being flat-footed. And then it's like, okay, which way am I going to go? you have more of a chance and more of a fluidity. I don't know if that's a real word or not.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yay, I got that one right. You also don't want to have your legs completely straight and lock your knees. You want to keep your knees a little bit bent so that as you still want to be lifting upright with your posture, but keep your knees a little bit bent. So if you've ever been standing for a very long time with your knees locked, you know that can cause you to faint. So not necessarily you're going to faint while you're dancing, but it's just not as easy in movement. You're kind of doing a stick person if you have your knees locked. Another thing is who's right. So when you're dancing, who's on the right and who is on the left? If you're dancing with a partner, the person that is on the left will be the lead. The person that is on the right will be the follow. I'm using the terms lead and follow, yes, because as I think everybody has experienced, you're typically going to have more female dancers present than male dancers. So it's good to learn how to dance as both a lead and a follow. So if you're leading, your follow will be on your right. And what you'll do with your hands is you will extend your right hand out, palm up, to receive your follow's hand. And that way if you are the follow, you'll be placing your hand in your lead's hand, palm down. If you're in a circle dance, you'll be doing the same thing. Your right hand, everyone's right hand will be palm up. Everybody's left hand will be palm down. And that way, when you get into a circle dance, you remember right hand palm up, left hand palm down, because you're receiving your new partner. The lead is receiving their follow. And then on the other side, the follow is receiving the lead. So and that way, when you're in a circle dance, everybody's in the same thing. Because a lot of times when we get into a circle dance, okay, whose hand's on top? Who's going to do this? And we're fighting for position with our hands. So just always remember right hand up, left hand down, regardless. And that will be good for a circle dance. Now, if you are for handholds, again, if you are in a ballroom position, so I'll turn and I'm sorry, this is backwards. I have not figured out how to flip the screen so that I am in the right direction for you folks to look at this. So if you are leading in a ballroom position, you will be facing line of direction, which is counterclockwise. The follow would be on the inside track. They will have their right arm up with their right hand on the follow's shoulder. Their left hand will be extended in front. And again, kind of with the palm up to receive their partner's hand. From the other direction, the follow will have their left arm will be gently laying on the lead's right arm. Their right hand will be forward and gently in their follow's hand. Again, with the hand hold up front, with the lead's hand, left hand forward and the right follow hand forward. You don't want to be clasped really tight. You want to still kind of cup your hands and be able to move that person, but not have so tight of a hold that you're hurting them or having to hold on for dear life. Now, unless you're dancing with Nathan, then you want to hold on for dear life because you never know what move he's going to do. Well, I take it back. You know something's coming when he starts grinning at you. When you see that grin on his face, you know you're in for some sort of a move. So your hands are together, and again, with the hands being together, the lead's hand and the follow's hand, with that, the follow is able to maneuver and push the lead in the direction that they want to go in. But if you don't have the tension in your arms, then all that's going to happen is the lead's arms are going to be pushing the follow's arms backwards. So you want to be able to move them with some tension in your arms. Something else to think about and consider is if you're going to be doing any turns. If you're doing turns, they say you one of the terms is to kind of ground yourself. I don't know if grounding yourself is really the right word, because I think of grounding, I'm doing like, okay, I'm ready. So grounding yourself would be more of in the lines of centering yourself. Make sure that while you're dancing and getting ready to do any turns, that you're continually with your body is like in a center of your central line. You don't want to be leaning forward. You don't want to be leaning backwards. You need to try and continue to have your balance. I guess balance would be a better word, so that you're centrally balanced with, so that you're not off kilter or moving around too much, or again, turning from the waist. You want to be able to turn smoothly with your feet underneath you. Your feet are not going to be, again, too far wide. And you're centered, you can turn easier. And that way you're more centered. It's easier to turn. Yes, I had to be careful because it's got limited room and I don't want to knock my picture frame. Thankfully, it's a plexiglass covering on it. So if it did, it wouldn't shatter, but that's okay. I still don't want to drop it. And so foot placement is definitely, again, is a good thing to keep in mind of your feet underneath you, not super wide, not super close. Because again, if your feet are too close, then you're going, at that point, I was just going in a circle. Now, if you're on a really, really busy dance floor, then maybe going in a circle is all that you've got room for. Pull this up a little bit higher. So if all you've got room, when we get back to dancing with lots of normal people, you may only have room to do small steps. That would be fantastic. Also, when you're doing turns, you want to be able to pick a point of reference. So if you're turning, you'll look, I instead of looking at like a wall or something, because you're constantly turning and rotating counterclockwise, think of it as when you're coming back forward in your position, are you looking at 11 o'clock? Are you looking at noon? Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to look at that wall, because as you're rotating around, your wall is going to move and you're going to go in a circle, hopefully. So just try and keep looking at that same kind of line of direction and center reference. And that will hopefully help keep you from getting way too dizzy. So these are things that you can actually practice at home without a partner or with a partner. It's easy to do it either way. If you have a hallway, you can practice doing your turns down your hallway. Again, our flooring's torn up, so it's easier for me to do this in my socks and bare feet. Eventually we'll have flooring back down, but we have to figure out what flooring we want first. So this was just kind of my initial thoughts on some of the things that we need to consider for once we get back to dancing again. And these are different things that, as we are at home still, and you're listening to music, if you're listening to somebody like sing in a choir at a church, or in my case, when I'm listening to my church service online and I'm listening to the different hymns, I'm trying to think in my mind, okay, what kind of dance moves or dance step is this? Is this a waltz? Is this, a 4 count or an 8 count? What kind of dance can you do to do the hymns? Mm-hmm. But if you're singing, try not to be thinking about that too much over the words, Marty. So, but that's something that also, something to consider is because there are a lot of hymns out there. I try and move this down so the light's not quite so bright. There are a lot, there are a lot of really, really beautiful hymns. And there's one called In the Garden that the Chardon Polka Band performs and plays, and it's a waltz, and it's a really pretty waltz hymn. So when you're listening to any type of music, you can just stop and think about, start listening to the music, pick up the tempo, pick up the beat, and pick up the rhythm of the song. Let me see if I can find another one. This is a song that I really like. That is a song, and it's
Your sound just went out. I can't hear you anymore.
unstable.
There we go.
Yep. Because I left this on Wi-Fi. So when you, a lot of the songs that we play, or that I would be playing, the name of the song is also the name of the dance. And that's one of the unique things, I guess, about folk dancing, is that whatever the name, I don't know which came first, the chicken or the egg. I don't know if the song title came first or if the dance came first. But most of these songs are also the name of the dance. And this one is just one, again, I'm gonna start this one over because this one I just really like. I really like this tune. I don't know why, but I do. Now all I have to do is find the dance that goes with that. And then once we're able to dance again in person, that hopefully is one that Cornelia has taught before or done before, and we can get that one teed up. Plus go over all of our review of everything else that we've learned over the years. So I'll just go do a quick rundown, and I'll probably, going forward, I'll probably kind of run through a lot of this really quick at the beginning of the lesson, just as reminders, and that will also help me get better at doing this and remembering to, get used to moving your arms again, having the proper tension in your arms so that you are not pulling or pushing or holding on too tight to your partner. So you've got a good tension, good connection, so they can help move you and guide you. That our posture is upright, as if pretend that there's a string coming out of the top of your head. So it's holding you upright, but not so rigid that you can't move and flow with the music. Keep your feet hip distance apart, not too wide, where you're doing more of a crouch, and not too close. Definitely don't lock your knees. That was bad for anybody to do that in any situation. Who's right? The follow is always on the right. So the lead will be the one that will be instructing. Hopefully the lead will be instructing the follow and what to do and helping to guide them. Handholds, again, the lead will extend their right hand palm up. The follow will have their left hand palm down. So if you are in a circle of any kind, you will have your right hand up, your left hand down. I know mine, I've got to figure out how to reverse this, or I can do, there we go. Now it's going to probably look correct for you folks. Because yeah, I've got, until I can figure out how to flip the image, it looks weird because this is my right hand up and then my left hand down. Yes. And when you're in a circle dance, everybody will have the right hand up, left hand down. You will follow, the follow will be on the left with the follow will have their left arm gently draped on their lead's arm. Again, you need to be able to support your own weight while you're doing this. You don't want to put all of your weight on their arm because they're also trying to maneuver you, and that's just extra that they have to try and hold up, an extra energy that they have to expend. So the lead will have their arm gently laying on the follow's arm with their hand on the lead's shoulder. The follow's right hand will be forward and gently laying in the lead's hand so that that can be another maneuvering point. The lead will have their right arm underneath their follow's arm and on their shoulder blade as a way to help maneuver. They will have their left hand forward, cupped kind of somewhat upward, so that that way they can receive their follow's hand. I mean, some people have it up more higher and more straight. It's whatever is more comfortable for you, but you will be, the lead will be using their left hand to push and maneuver the follow. I want to say push, but to maneuver the follow to turn as needed, while they are pulling back on the shoulder blade to be able to move their partner as one. And they're not doing one or the other. They're trying to do it fluidly together. And then again, with turns, you want to make sure that you've got yourself grounded or centered, so that, and then make sure you figure out your line of sight, where you want to spot as you're turning. And then you also want to make sure that your feet are not more than hip distance apart. If they're more than hip distance apart, either you have a longer distance to travel around, or your partner has a longer distance to have to travel around. If your feet are too close, then you are more likely to tip or not be able to stay steady as you're dancing with your partner and doing turns. So that's what I had for this evening. I'm not sure if anybody has any questions, thoughts, suggestions. Is there anything that anybody would like to maybe see for next week, or even, would like to try and have a review on? I can, depending on what it is, I can try and set up a time for me to possibly videotape something at LeaderCrons and then be able to just play it here on Zoom. So, we just have somebody else just joined. So we have a Jan just joined. But I'm just curious, is there anything that anybody would be interested in learning more about? And if I'm not able to do it, I can call upon other people, maybe Lois or Jeanette or Cornelia or somebody else to give me tips on how to lead an additional class, or what we can do while we're currently still just trying to learn individual dances or positions or handholds.
Is it possible to run like a video and let us see it?
Yes.
Even like a video from YouTube of a whole group doing it or something.
Yep, and we have a lot of different dances that I've saved that the LeaderCrons Volkstancers have done, including some from the 1990s now, thanks to Herman Sagasser and from Cornelia for having videos from the Volkstanzer group from back in the 90s.
Wow.
Yep, they actually, one of the videos has Das Fenster.
Ha!
I know, as soon as I heard the song, da-da, and then I started, da-da-da-da-da-da. So it was really nice to see that some of the folk dances being danced by some of the original members of the Volkstanzer group. So I can pull up one of those. I can't do that right now, but I can have one of those downloaded to the laptop and show one of those dances, or even our you could do Der Hammerschmidt-Gesellen, or our audience participation dance, the one I call Stretch Armstrong. So I can look at, I'll look at different dances then and see what we've got, and figure out what we could show for next week, and then maybe take that and segment it down to the first part is, these are the steps that you do. Here's what the lead does, here's what the follow does, and break down one of the songs into smaller segments and figure out, start teaching that so that you, again, because this is going to be recorded, so I'll put this out onto YouTube. And as we do this, then we'll have this as a reference, frame of reference to go back to figure out more of the dance move, and maybe be able to learn some of the pieces of a dance at home. There's a few of them that we've done that I don't think would be good for doing this because it was difficult for us to get. But maybe one of our newer ones, I'll look at that, and we can, again, we can take a month or whatever and break one of the songs down, one of the dances down, and start learning that from home. Debbie, I saw you saying something, but I still can't hear you. You can type it in the comments or the chat section. At the very bottom of the screen is probably a bubble that says chat. Debbie says, just saying, well, as everybody else can read, sounds good. Getting the cobwebs dusted off. I like that. Yes, that is something we all need to do, because hopefully by the fall, we will be able to be singing and dancing back together again. That's my dream, I guess, to be able to do that after a year and a half. So if we can get a start back on it, then that would be great. Well, I do want to thank everybody for being on here tonight. Again, I'll once we're done with this, I'll go ahead and save the recording and work on getting it posted out to YouTube so that we've got this back to reference again. And Jan, thank you so much for joining. Thank you. I know I'd listed it for being an hour. I wasn't sure what we were going to do or what I would have room in my hallway to get done this evening. So I do appreciate everybody for showing up, and I look forward to seeing whoever's available next week at 7:30. Thank you so much and have a great night. Danke.
Okay.